Yeah, I went to watch my friend run a marathon in 2008, London Marathon, and he was running in memory of my son, Ben, who we lost at 3 1/4 through a very rare cancer. He ran the marathon, I went and watched it, and I just sat there and I cried as I watched 35,000 people run past me. Everybody had a picture of somebody pinned on their jumpers. And everybody had a story. There was a reason that it was 35,000 Bens running past me, and I just knew that I had to do it. It was just something that I had to do, just once in my life. I went away from that determined to do it. Came away, spoke to the charity that deals with the cancer from my little boy, and they gave me a place, they guaranteed me a place in next year's marathon, which was 2009. I went away, I sat on that for 6 months. I spoke to K2 trainer, the K2 personal trainer, and he told me there's no point rushing into it right now. You're going to go mad, you're going to do yourself an injury. Go away, take it easy for 6 months, get up to a couple of miles by Christmas, and then we'll talk. Sensible option, because otherwise I'd have run away and I'd have just banging out the miles. I'd have broken myself. So I'd done that. I came back to him at Christmas time, 5 or 6 miles running under my belt, and was really proud of that. And every time I came in here, I said to him, I've done 5 miles last night, really chuffed with myself. He gave me a training program that built up the miles over the week, extra 10% on the long runs on a Sunday, and it grew from there. When I went and watched a marathon, my lifestyle wasn't really what you'd consider to be a marathon runner's lifestyle. I'm a mobile engineer, so I live out of my car. My diet would consist of literally a can of Red Bull and a Mars bar, or whatever the petrol station was selling en route to wherever I was working that day. My lunch would be whatever else the petrol station would sell. So sausage rolls, steak and kidney pasties, whatever rubbish it was always fried. It was never any good food. And dinner was something that I'd have maybe if I remembered. My lifestyle was rubbish on that. Like I say, then that led me to December when I picked up the marathon training for real and actually got started doing the mileage. The one thing that I had to do was give up smoking. So
how did you find that?
Actually really easy.
Yeah?
I'd smoked for 20 years, and I just dropped the cigarettes. I know I sound really smug now, but at the time it was very simple. It was a case of, if I'm going to go for a run, there was no point having a cigarette at the end of it. I just realised how stupid I looked doing it. And every mile that I run was another mile that I didn't have another cigarette. So every time I went to light a cigarette, I thought, well, I could stick another mile on tonight for that. And all of a sudden the miles grew, and it went from the 2, 3 miles, 5 miles that I was really pleased with. Suddenly I was doing 10 miles. And that was a real reward. So every time I wanted a cigarette, I just thought about how it would affect tonight's run. And it worked. Probably one of the best things that I had with that was I'd set myself a goal. That was probably the easiest thing that came from it. I had a goal, I had a date, there was a deadline, and I had to have done those miles on that date. So there was never, tomorrow wasn't an option.
And was that goal something you set yourself, or did you get help with
that
goal?
That was the marathon day.
Yeah.
I had a deadline, which was the 26th of April. There's the marathon. I had to be on that start line. I had a lot to prove to a lot of friends that all said, you'll never do it. It's just not going to happen. So I had a deadline, and that was the easiest thing for me to do. Because I had a deadline and a date, the smoking had to go. The food had to change. Graham, one of the personal trainers here, does a health and nutrition course, which I came along, and it forced me to look at what I was eating. Luckily, I've never been large. I've not had to lose a lot of weight. The weight that I've got has changed from fat to muscle. I'm exactly the same weight as I've always been. It's just things have shifted. And that just forced me to look at what I was doing. I got a diary, realised what I was eating, and realised the calories that I was taking in, the caffeine, just the wrong foods. That grew.
Thinking back to then, how did you feel about yourself? You know, obviously physically you haven't probably changed, but
my self-esteem has gone through the roof. I'd have had trouble running up the stairs. I walk a lot for a living. I'd still get knackered. Running up the stairs, I'd be out of breath at the top of the stairs, which was terrible. I used to get quite a lot of stick from friends when they found out what I was doing. Not only would they take the mickey out of me, but then I suppose I turned into what people perceive as a reformed smoker, which it's never I got a lot of abuse for it, put it that way. They said to me that I would never complete the marathon, there was no chance. And I mean, how much else do you need? What else do you need to spur you on other than proving people wrong?
Yes. So you did the marathon in
2009.
And it kind of snowballed a bit from there?
I got hooked. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. The feeling of being on the start line with 30-odd thousand other people is addictive. It's a massive rush. One of the things I did was turned around at the start line, just jumped in the air and looked back amongst all the people, and the thousands and thousands of people just standing there all bouncing and buzzing and ready to go. It's just a feeling that once you've had that, you never give it up. And I wanted to do it again. So that grew into, luckily I got a place in the 2010 London Marathon as well. That grew from a bit of a bet and a bit of a dare that snowballed into 3 marathons in 3 weekends. So I ended up doing Paris, Brighton and London on the 3 weekends. Managed to do all 3 of them in under 4 hours. That was good fun. I'd done that with a good friend of mine. We done all the training together through January and February. He was a member here as well. So we were in here, we trained together, we ran together. That was a good experience.
Fantastic. And what's the next challenge?
The next challenge is a race called the Marathon des Sables. It became apparent to me when I was doing the training for the 3 marathons. I became aware of it somehow, and looking on the internet and seeing what was there just really grabbed me, and it almost feels like it's a bit of a calling that I've got to do it now. I've got to get it out of my system. It's called Marathon des Sables. It's 150 miles or 245 kilometres across the Sahara in Morocco over the space of 6 days, 6 to 7 days, depending on how well you do with it. That will also involve carrying all my own food, sleeping equipment, clothes, everything that I'm going to need to cover those 6 days, with the exception of water, which is rationed per day at checkpoints and at your base camp every night. It's going to be a challenge.
And what are you doing to prepare for that? How are the guys at K2 helping you to?
Luckily, the personal trainer Graham set me out on he's given me a very good training program for that, so which involves a lot of short distance work, some speed work just to build it up, a lot of leg weight work and lower back, shoulder work just to cope with the weight I'm going to be carrying. Leg work just purely to build up strength for running through the sand with the weight I'm going to be carrying, and also there's a few minor hills involved in it, so it's basically about getting up those with longer runs, building up on the Saturdays and Sundays, with a few shorter runs throughout the week, just to build up recovery and being able to run while still burnt out from yesterday effectively.
When you're still tired, you've still got the lactic acid.
Yeah, you've still got to run out. Yeah, I mean, effectively, the runs are going to work out to sort of first day is half marathon, then the second day is 18 miles and 25 miles. The third and fourth days the fourth and fifth days are a 50-mile solid run with no base camp in between. You just go out on the fourth morning, and you don't stop till you've hit 50 miles. Sometimes that takes 1 day, sometimes it normally rolls into the morning of the next day. So, and then once that's finished, you get the rest of that day off, and then the next morning you get up and you run a full marathon. And the day after that, you run another 20 miles. Just
looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
What other sort of help and support have you had from the guys at K2?
A lot of offers for help for sponsorship. This race is costing me personally a lot of money. It's costing me over £3,500 to run it, just to get me there and take the ability to do. I mean, obviously I'm running that for charity, so I'm investing a lot. They've put a lot of time and effort into helping me to do what I need to do to be there on the start line and to complete it. If I don't complete it, there was no point in going. I have to finish it.
Had you used gyms and things before you started running, or is it complete?
Never.
Never.
Never. I'd been a member beforehand, and I'd been a couple of times. I'd 3 or 4 nights, got a gym session, got some upper weight stuff, decided didn't like it, just never came back. I've probably paid a year's worth of membership 2-3 times in different gyms.
So what was the difference this time?
The main difference was I had a marathon. Luckily, I met Graham.
Having the goal.
Yeah, I had a goal. I had to be there. I had to do it. I met Graham, and Graham had run marathons beforehand, so I had the right person in the right place at the right time, and it sort of snowballed from there, really.
And how do you feel now, looking back?
I'm glad I made the change. It's made a massive change in my life. It's huge. The marathons, the running, the self-esteem. I get up every Sunday now, and I get up at 6-7 o'clock every Sunday morning. I will go and find the race somewhere. It's not just the marathons I'll do. I'll get up and I'll go to a half marathon because I'm bored. That 2 years ago would never have happened. I'd have rolled out of bed at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning and cut another can of Red Bull, and that would have been my day, really.
So you must feel great now, and
Massively so. Yeah. It's like I say, the self-esteem's through the roof. I know that I look better. That sounds really vain, but I don't train for the looks. I train for the race. Benefit of it is I look and feel a lot better than I ever did. Hugely so.
quite a nice side effect.
It's a nice side effect, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wife likes it. Yeah.